Hey everyone, today we're going to read the next chapter of Shredderman's Secret Identity. Chapter 14, Shredderman Gets a Sidekick. It was lunchtime. Everyone was charging the door, me included. I hated getting to the lunch line late. You waste too much lunch recess waiting. I wanted to play Foursquare. Maybe I'd make server. But Mr. Green stopped me. Nolan, he called. Come here a sec. I went to his desk, where he was stacking the science papers we just turned in. Yes, Mr. Green? How's your project coming along? Fine. Having any problems with it? I shook my head. The classroom was empty now, except for him and me. What are you doing it on? He asked. Uh-oh. Nolan? Yes, sir? What's the subject? Well, actually, I keep starting over. His eyebrows went up. He sat down. Oh, really? Yeah. I started talking really fast. My dad wanted me to do it on the mayor, but I didn't want to. So he said to do it on his boss, but his boss makes him work too much and he's kind of mean to him. So then he said I should do it on Sarge. Sarge? He's a friend of my dad's. He's on the police force. Ah. So I've been working on I didn't want to lie to him. What was I gonna say? Yes? I've been working on switching to him. He studied me. Okay. And what's this police sergeant's name? Sergeant Clubb. Hey, he said, smiling. I know Billy. He's one cool cop. You want me to put in a word for you? No. I mean, no thank you. My dad, my dad's got it covered. Mr. Green nodded, but his smile failed away. He shifted in his chair. His mouth went from left to right and back again. Finally, he took a deep breath and said, Did you know that all the teachers were asked to turn in names of students who were out of class before snack recess yesterday? I was still standing, but my knees had turned to jelly. Nolan? Yes, sir? Did you hear me? Yes, sir. Are you worried? Worried? I was sweating cannonballs. Glad I turned in your name. I shook my head. Really? He cocked his head. I thought you might be. I shrugged. Why? He leaned back, his hands folded behind his head. A foot kicked onto the science papers. The other came up and crossed it. Finally, he said, You're being very cool about this, Shredderman. Quadruple O. Me? I said. Have a seat, Nolan. I sat. It's okay, Nolan. I didn't turn your name in. You didn't? I mean, you could have. He put up a hand. I have an apology to make, so please hear me out. I nodded. Earlier in the year, you tried to tell me things about Alvin. Clear that I didn't take them seriously enough. But I want you to know that from now on, if you have a problem with someone, I'll listen better. There's a lot going on in class, but that's no reason for things to have come to this point. I should have paid more attention, and I'm sorry. I started to tell him that it wasn't his fault Bubba was born big and mean, full of teeth and ready to bite. But he's but he put his hand up again and said, The situation with Alvin is pretty complex. But again, that's no excuse. And off the record, your solution is brilliant. Very well executed, I might add. He shook his head and chuckled. All this time I thought you were shy, but you're a real comedian, you know that? I laughed my head off. I hadn't admitted anything yet, and even though I wanted to tell him he was right, that I had built the site, felt like it would be the end of Shredderman if I did. But Mr. Green, I'm not Shredderman. His feet swung off the desk. He leaned forward. Then he whispered, I'm not going to breathe a word of this to anyone, Nolan. You cover your tracks by turning in a real project, and I'll make sure no one suspects it's you. I just stood there staring at him. Look, I love Shredderman. I think what you've done is going to change the tone of this campus. Let me help you. Your site could be so much more than all Bubba all the time. Think about what you can do with it. You could post kids doing nice things to each other. Have mystery guests, riddles about kids no one knows very well. There's a ton you can do with your site. Good stuff. But, come on, he laughed. Superman had Jimmy Olsen, Batman had Robin. Shoot, even the geckos got Sticky, right? Shredderman needs an ally. He leaned in a little closer. Nolan, let me be your sidekick. A teacher as a sidekick? I laughed out loud, and I was about to say, really? But he stopped me. You don't have to say a word, he whispered, then put out his hand. I looked at him for a minute, then shook it.